Okay, so this is Scarborough's rope. It was put together by Hollis Scarborough in 2001, and in my opinion, it pretty much gives us a visual of how complex it is to learn to read. It gives us a good breakdown of all of the components that go into being able to accurately and fluently read. So our big two sections are language comprehension and word recognition. Language comprehension starts from birth. It as soon as they are, out and about and their hearing is going, they are constantly hearing someone talk to them. Especially for little kids, they are repeating what their parents say, and so we are really seeing that language comprehension start to develop at a very early age. So for background knowledge, it's pretty much what it sounds like. It is using what you already know and applying it to new learning. For vocabulary, it's very important for students to have a wide range of vocabulary because they are able to make a better sense of what they're reading whenever they know more vocabulary. For language structures, we have two components in that. What's called syntax is basically just when words come together and make a phrase or a sentence, and putting it together. The next part of this one is semantics. It is actually the study of the meanings of words, phrases, and sentences. That's going to be super important for going back to vocabulary, developing vocabulary. Our next one is verbal reasoning. In that, we have two more. Inference. Inference is basically just drawing a conclusion, and that is really going to help in higher grades whenever they're reading a text and they're coming up with their own kind of conclusion about maybe meaning or anything, but it starts at such a lower level. The next part of that is a metaphor, and again, that'll be used later on, but just like I said, it starts out so early. So a metaphor is basically just a phrase that suggests something that is not explicitly said. So normally it has some kind of hidden meaning or some underlying depth to it. Our next strand is literacy knowledge. That also has two parts in it. So print concepts basically mean print as in a book or even just a small passage. Basically how we learn to read it. For us as adults, we are able to look at a passage and we start at the top left corner and we read left to right and top to bottom. We don't read upside down. We don't go backwards. We learn to read at an early age from left to right and top to bottom. So in our next section, we have phonological awareness, and that is basically whenever a student is able to identify and manipulate units of verbal language. So they're able to, that's kind of where the alphabet comes into play, and phonics, and we see how students are able to break words apart and then put them all back together. Our next section is decoding. That is basically whenever a student is just able to sound a word out by putting the correct letters to their sounds and using all of the rules that we teach them about the different kind of words, the different kind of sounds that words can make, and the different kind of blends, just everything that involve putting words back together and reading them accurately and fluently. Our next strand is sight recognition, and that's basically just going to be able to look at a word and fluently and accurately read it without having to sound it out and figure out the meaning or guess the meaning. But so as we see, all these strands are separate to begin with, and then we see them come together, each coming together on their own first, and then starting to join each other. So right here, it's very loose, starting to wind together. And this is whenever you're becoming increasingly strategic and automatic. So basically what that means is automaticity is just being able to say a word or look at a word, just like we're talking about sight recognition. You're able to automatically do it. You don't have to stop and spend a long time thinking about it. And then so our end goal is going to be skilled reading. That is our biggest push. And that's when students are going to be able to be fluent and accurate and automatic in language comprehension and word recognition. So that's why this rope starts to really tightly, you can see the different colors. They really start to get tight, and once you have this skilled reading, you really can't go backwards. Skilled reading is our biggest goal, and obviously it will come with age and learning. So basically, a skilled reader is just going to be able to read fluently and accurately and not stumble over their words or have to stop and sound them out or be looking for what a word means. So all of this together really just comes together, and Hollis Scarborough, she gave us a very good breakdown of how students are able to learn to read and what components make up all of them.